It is no secret that Florida is the destination for retirement. But what I bet you didn't know is right here in St. Augustine has actually seen the most population growth for 55 and up and active adult communities since 2019. We get tons of questions from our customers regarding location, lifestyle, and of course what these communities have to offer. So I'd actually like to bring in Ashley to chat a little bit more about this topic. Hey Ash.
Hey Taylor.
How are you doing today?
Good.
Ready to talk a bit more about St. Augustine?
Yeah, and there's a lot to talk about here, and one question we actually get all the time from our customers is, where exactly is it?
Well, let's dive in and talk about it. Okay, so let's first talk about the location. St. Augustine is located in northeastern Florida along the Atlantic coast. It's just about 40 miles southeast of Jacksonville and just east of 295.
Yeah, so the St. Augustine area as a whole is made up of a handful of zip codes. So you've got areas like St. Augustine Beach, historic downtown, and other surrounding areas such as Volano Beach, Palencia, Butler Beach, and Crescent Beach. And between these zip codes, you have a lot of choices, from the beaches, new construction communities, rural areas, historic homes, you name it. And speaking of history, a lot of our viewers may not know this, but St. Augustine is actually the oldest city here in America.
That's right, St. Augustine actually has so much history to offer, so whether you're moving to the area or just visiting, be sure to take some time and learn as much as you can. St. Augustine was actually founded way back in 1565 by the Spanish explorer Pedro Menendez de Aviles, and it was the capital of Spanish Florida for over 200 years. It then switched back to British control in 1763 and came back to Spain, and eventually came back to be part of the US in 1821. So today you can check out sites like the Castillo de San Marcos, which is a 17th century fortress, and the Cathedral Basilica of St. Augustine, which is a really beautiful historic landmark built right in the heart of the downtown district here.
Yeah, it's got that really cool mix of old Spanish style buildings along with the modern attractions, which makes it so popular for tourism. And then throw in that coastal beauty and it really makes St. Augustine such a unique place. So Taylor, we've touched on the tourism here in St. Augustine a little bit. Now you live up in Jacksonville, but you come here quite frequently.
Yep.
So could you let everyone know just everything there is to do here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a ton to do here in St. Augustine, so we'll touch just on a little bit of it. But a lot of us Jacksonville locals, and of course people that live in other surrounding areas, come here to St. Augustine a lot, whether it's for a day trip like we're doing right now, maybe an evening date night, or even a weekend stay. You've got lots to do, from museums to state parks. Of course, you have the beaches depending on the time of year, lots of restaurants and dining. You've got the horse and buggies, and I'm sure as you've noticed so far today, there's lots of holiday lights around because they are getting ready for Night of Lights. Now, another thing that really interests our 55 and up community here in St. Augustine is the golf. And that really just ties the active lifestyle in together. We've got tons of golf courses here throughout St. Augustine and St. Johns County. You're gonna find golf courses like St. John's Golf and Country Club. You have King and Bear, which is in World Golf Village. You also have the Slammer and the Squire, just to name a few. These courses are spread throughout St. Augustine and St. Johns County, but you can actually find that a handful of them are located right within your community or in your backyard. So Ashley, it's no surprise that Florida is so retirement friendly because of its sunshine and beautiful weather, but of course that comes with some downfalls, right?
Yeah, it's true. When you live in Florida, you're always going to have the risk of hurricanes and strong storms, and Jacksonville and St. Augustine are no exception to that. Hurricanes can of course bring heavy winds and rains, and we've had some significant events over the years. But the good news is, compared to other parts of Florida and even coastal states further north like South Carolina, Northeast Florida actually has a relatively moderate hurricane risk. Most of Northeast Florida is a little bit more tucked away, so you don't always get as much of the full force of storms, especially when it's coming from the coast, or obviously when it has to travel, across the entire state from the Gulf side. So, of course, it's still important to know your evacuation routes and still be prepared, but I want you all to know that 55 and plus communities, they are a little bit more inland and tucked away. So unless you're right on the coast, there's nothing to be really as concerned about.
Yeah, and despite the potential for severe weather and hurricanes, the climate here is really the big draw to Northeast Florida. You'll find here that the average temperature a lot of times throughout the year is holding in the upper 70s. Sometimes it's even in kind of the mid 70 range. Obviously in winter months, as you can kind of tell right now, we're just a little bit warmer because you do get some cooler days and months thrown in there where the average is holding around the 50s or 60s. Prime example today, we woke up and it was 54 degrees and now it's 63 and sunny. So you're definitely going to get a little bit of range, but weather and temperature is always going to be a big attraction here in Northeast Florida.
So Taylor, this all probably sounds great to our viewers, but with Northeast Florida being so spread out, what can you tell everyone about getting around the area?
Yeah, so St. Augustine is actually pretty well connected despite Northeast Florida being so spread out. And you've got easy access to major highways like I-95, which we mentioned earlier, which gives you a direct connection to Jacksonville and of course other surrounding areas. You've also got tons of convenience and shopping centers around here. So you're gonna find a lot of that, like grocery stores, boutique shops, of course your major chains and stuff like that. You're gonna find more of that in these areas like St. Augustine Shores and of course Valencia.
Right.
Now, if you're gonna be more in that historic St. Augustine downtown area, it can get a little bit busier there. You're gonna find more local spots in that area. Of course, some bigger chains as well, but things down there can get a little bit more crowded and busy. That being said, you do have other areas that are gonna be a little bit quieter, like Volano Beach or Butler Beach. So there is options for everybody. Now, if convenience is king for you, there are plenty of areas around here where you can find that these conveniences are pretty much at your fingertips without having to get into the traffic of the downtown area.
So when we talk about an area being retirement friendly, that does mean a couple different things here in St. Augustine, right?
Yeah, it does for sure. And a lot of times we find that our customers are really looking for what's called an active adult community. We have tons of them throughout St. Augustine, but they're really looking for something that gives them a little bit of ease for their day-to-day living, where they don't really have to go far to do a lot of things, right? Something that's at their fingertips. And you'll find in communities just like this one, which is in Trailmark, that you have things like the security with the gated entrance, you have amenities, your HOA or your other community dues cover things like lawn care and pest control and other exterior maintenance. And it really just takes a lot off your shoulders as a retiree. And maybe you're not retired yet, but you're getting there, and it just gives you a little less to do when you get home from work.
Right, and to piggyback off of those amenities, there's quite a lot here between the gyms, the swimming pools, the pickleball courts, tennis courts, and just social events where they can enjoy some fun and entertainment within their community.
Awesome. Well, on that note, why don't we dive a little bit further into why people are looking into these communities?
Perfect. So Taylor, first question for you as our viewers are deciding if these are the types of communities for them. What are the typical house styles and price ranges that they'd be looking at in these 55 plus communities?
Great question. The answer to both of those is they're going to range pretty drastically depending on the community that you're in. But for example, in communities like this one, which again is Reverie at Trailmark, you're going to find a lot of the houses style-wise are going to have more of kind of that coastal look. You're going to find lots of blues, greens, and natural tones for the colors on the exterior. Maybe a little bit of the pop of identifying that we're in North Florida with stones on the exterior of the houses. And price ranges you're really going to find are in the 500s and then even upwards of 700,000 depending on the size of the property, the lot location, and of course the updates that have been done because this is a newer construction community. Now you're going to have older, more established communities as well, or some more resale where you can be in the 4s or 500,000s depending on the houses, the style, and of course, you know, the size of the home, right? But the styles that you're also going to find aside from more of that coastal are going to be the traditional Florida style house, as I like to call it, where you're going to find the stucco exterior. You tend to have some warmer tones, maybe occasionally in a pastel or two on those houses. And then of course you do have some Spanish style or Mediterranean style communities as well, where you're going to see the tile roofs and really have some browns and darker natural tones throughout the community.
Okay, so if someone is looking for a community where maybe they want to build from the ground up, are there any still out there?
There are a couple. Reverie is one of them, and they do have a couple of locations. So Trailmark here is a little bit more built out. There is still options to build or customize within this community. They have their second location, which is over in Silverleaf, which is kind of at the very beginning phases of their build. So if you're looking to get in somewhere early, that's a great option.
Okay, and now on the other spectrum of that, if someone wants something that's been more established, where would you recommend?
Couple of options. So the closer you get to the beaches in St. Augustine, you have Villages of Saloy, which we mentioned earlier, which is more of like a condo or a villa style community. You also have San Salito, which are single family homes, but is definitely a more established community. And then you do have Parkland Preserve, which they are newer homes built within the last couple of years, but they are completely built out. So you do have options there as well.
Great. And then bringing us back to the amenities that we had mentioned earlier. So with these social club events, what do those look like and what exactly is all entailed with that?
Yeah, so again, every community is going to be different, and that's why it's great to explore, see what works best for you, right? Each community is going to have something different, but a lot of communities will just have kind of common spaces where you can go and connect. Like for example, here in Reverie at Trailmark, they have a beer garden, which is really cool. They've got dog parks, so you can bring your four-legged friends to them, and you can connect kind of that way, a little bit more natural. Or they do have some other communities where they have actually like calendars set up where they're doing billiards or bingo or things like that, where you can get together and meet some neighbors that way as well.
If you're ready to join the thousands of people retiring here to St. Augustine, our team would love to help you. Make sure to reach out to us at therockagroup.com/YouTube.
And we'll see you on the next one.